Hello, good evening, and welcome to this e- hot evening. Welcome to you all in the house. All of you for the topic tonight is as you can see on the screen, the ripple effect of forgiveness. Tonight we have a treat in our speaker, and her name is Dr. Sarah Eagger, as you can see. When I saw her face on the flyer, I thought, I've seen Sarah so many times, but she has not been to Wembley. And so we'd like to extend our very warm welcome for first time in Wembley. Once you come, always come, keep coming. So for Sarah's biography, I'm going to have to read it because it's not something you can summarize and it makes sense. So Dr. Sarah Eagger is a retired consultant psychiatrist, formerly at Imperial College, London, and chair of the Janki Foundation, which is a UK-based charity that promotes spirituality in healthcare. She is on the executive committees of both the Religion, Spirituality, and Psychiatry section of the World Psychiatric Association and a special interest group on spirituality at the Royal College of Psychiatrists. Okay, I know why I couldn't summarize that. She has practiced Raja Yoga meditation for over 40 years, and she is a mindful self-compassion teacher. She's also a co-author of Stillness in the Storm, the 7 tools for coping with fear and uncertainty. So we have an author, doctor, and a long-time meditator. It's going to be a wonderful evening, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you, Sarah.
Very illustrious introduction. So, how many of you are here for the first time? Okay. But the rest of you have come before, so you're comfortable, you know this kind of meditation, you're familiar with it. Well, welcome to you. So, today I'm going to cover this subject of the ripple effect of forgiveness. And what I'd like to do is do I just look at you and say, next slide, please? Or is there a... Oh, okay. The bottom one. Okay, good. Sorry. So just when we were advertising this talk, the idea of forgiveness is a beautiful virtue to possess. Those who embody it understand the value of freedom and recognize its impact extends beyond just two individuals. It fosters a culture of deep respect and compassion for humanity and its values. So it was interesting that I was asked to cover this topic, so it made me really think about it in a lot of depth. And this is the book that we're referring to, Stillness in the Storm, so there's a little bit on forgiveness in this, which is there if you're interested. It's got a lot of other stuff, but there is some forgiveness. Because we're looking at really what are the capacities or the skills or virtues that we have that can help us to progress spiritually or in our lives, in relationships. What are the things that we can build on that will make our lives easier and more free? So what I hope to cover today, work out all this, just understand a little bit about the concept of forgiveness. What are the psychological benefits of forgiving. What's the ripple effect? Some of the impact. Then, if you feel comfortable, I think it would be nice just to go through a little process where you can practice some forgiveness yourself and see how it feels. And then looking also into some of the spiritual aspects of forgiveness as well. So the first time I got kind of really interested in this topic was when I saw a video by this lady called Eva Kaur. I don't know if any of you have heard of her, but she's now passed away, but she was a lady who was in the concentration camps in Auschwitz, and her twin sister were experimented on by the Nazi doctors, and so it was a pretty awful thing that happened to them. And she tells the story of how one of the doctors from the gas chambers there agreed to write a letter saying that the Holocaust actually happened, because there were people who were dying in the Holocaust. And she thought, what can I do to thank him for writing this letter? I'll write him a letter of forgiveness. So she went with him to Auschwitz, and she said, I was there with my children, and he was there with his children and grandchildren. He signed his document about the operation of the gas chambers, and I read my document of forgiveness and signed it. And as I did that, I felt a burden of pain was lifted from me. I was no longer in the grip of hate. I was finally free. The day I forgave the Nazis privately, I forgave my parents, who I hated all my life for not having saved me from Auschwitz, as children expect their parents to protect them, and mine couldn't. So she really had this kind of epiphany, this deep experience that forgiveness was a power that she had, that only she could say, I forgive you. And when she really did that, she said, for most people, there's a big obstacle to forgiveness because society expects revenge. So there's a sense of, if you're wronged, then you should get justice, you should get your own back. She said, we need to honour victims, but I always wondered if my dead loved ones would want me to live with the pain and anger until the end of my life. Some survivors do not want to let go of the pain, but she had a very profound experience of this power of forgiveness that was hers and hers alone, and how it freed her from the past. And she set up this website, or this organisation called the Forgiveness Project. And it's very powerful if you're interested to look at that and hear her experience of the power of forgiveness. And for someone who is in such an awful situation, to be able to free herself from the past of that. This sense that forgiveness was an ability that she owned, and no one else could give or take away that power. It was hers to use in any way she chose. And tapping into that capacity to forgive. So it's like realising it's a power that you have. You have a capacity to forgive. Overcame their belief that they had no power over their lives, and gave them back their freedom. So often when we feel we've been wronged, it puts us in the position of being a victim. So in that sense, when you feel you're a victim, you're losing your innate power. And that sense of, I can come out of being a victim by realising I have this power to forgive. So The definition of forgiveness is that it's an intentional decision to let go of resentment, anger, or the desire for revenge. And it doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't imply that you're saying what was done was right. It's not condoning the wrongdoing. And it's not a sign of weakness. It takes a lot of strength to forgive. Somehow you have to be a strong person to know that you can, through your own power, your own capacity, overcome a situation. And there's a sense that a lot of studies have been done, because obviously there are situations in the world like South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation Council, situations where many people have had awful things done to them. And so they've looked at what is the power of forgiveness and done research on it. And so there is this feeling that they've realised that there are a lot of benefits. And it's important to understand, in a sense, that when the feeling you have, if you're holding on to a hurt or you're holding on to something that's happened to you in the past, it's a feeling of anger or resentment or bitterness. And that's going to be having an effect on you physiologically, mentally. It's going to be triggering your threat system, your stress system, because that emotion, to feel anger or betrayal or hurt triggers a certain physiological response in you. So if you're able to let go of those feelings, if you have a method of letting go and really leaving them in the past, you're doing yourself a favour. You're freeing yourself from something that's happened to you. So it does have this effect of, if you're able to forgive, that means you're able to let go of the hurt. It reduces your stress and anxiety, makes you feel more emotionally enhanced, better mental health, better empathy and compassion. So part of which we'll go on to, part of the steps of forgiveness are that sense of, well, why did that person do that? What were the circumstances that led them to behave in that way? And maybe have, this idea of walking in someone else's shoes, have a sense of what were all the things in their life that led them to do whatever it was. So there is this sense of forgiveness having a very beneficial effect on you, the person. Whereas when you hold on to anger or resentment, it's like you're the one who's suffering. You're prolonging your own suffering. They say it's like you're drinking poison, hoping to kill the other person, but you're drinking it. They say it's like anger's like the hot coal that you pick up to throw at someone, but you're burning your own hand. So there's a sense that even though it may be justified, the effect of that state of mind is going to make you suffer more. So there are a lot of benefits for you as a person if you are able to practice forgiveness. It's going to improve your peace of mind, your happiness, and your well-being. And beyond that, there are sort of wider effects. When we talk about the ripple effect, it's the effect on the wider community. So I'm sure you've all experienced in relationships where you've had an upset, you've had an argument, a fight, a disagreement, but you've been able to get over it. In a sense, you've come back to the person and you've reconciled in some way. That always probably needs a certain amount of forgiveness if something that's happened between you has upset you. So if you can forgive, you're going to strengthen your relationships. It's a way of moving on in relationships. that idea that empathy and compassion helps, it increases your empathy and compassion because you're trying to understand from the other person's perspective what happened, what went on. So you're having to think about it from their point of view. The society and community, and of course there have been many examples where, and in particular the South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation Council, how that really had a powerful effect to bring people together and to say, to be able to, for the victims to be able to say they forgave, but also what they've noticed when they've done research is that the perpetrators, if they were able to say sorry, that also made a big difference. So if someone can apologise, or if I'm the person who's actually harmed or hurt someone, if you can say you're sorry or take responsibility for your actions, then the other person is much more, will find it much easier to forgive you. And of course, I'm sort of talking a little bit about us forgiving other people, but then there's also the situation where I've done something and I've hurt someone else. So do I need to forgive myself, but also how do I get forgiveness from the other person? So they also found that, yes, when there was sort of social injustice or some trauma, that the victims who were able to forgive the perpetrators were less angry and distressed than those who held on to it. So there's sort of a bit of a background in forgiveness. Do any of you feel you've had a situation where you've been wronged or hurt and you've held on to that? Some of you are nodding, yeah? Yeah. It's a normal human response, isn't it? But it doesn't make you feel very good. So it's a sense of what can I do when I find myself in that position? So I thought it'd be interesting if we just went through a little process of how you can do that. Would you be interested in trying that? Because this is the kind of background information. Yeah, so all these aspects, social harmony, and then this spiritual and philosophical impact, we'll get onto that a little bit later. I think that's quite deep, that whole aspect of what's happening to us spiritually when we're practicing forgiveness. What do we need to draw on and understand? But I thought just before, we'll do that afterwards, we'll go through this process of forgiveness. And it's important. The first step really is to acknowledge and accept your emotions. So like something's happened to you and you may just feel a bit uncomfortable or disturbed or distressed. It's sort of like noticing what's going on with you. And so that sense of actually what that person did or said, that really hurt me, that upset me. And it's something about acknowledging and validating your feelings. In a way, you can't fix something until you know there's a problem. So it's a bit about really knowing yourself emotionally, sort of. So recognizing and validating your feelings is like the first step. And understanding the impact of the hurt. It's like saying to yourself, actually, that wasn't good, that really upset me. And just kind of understanding that for yourself. Then there's the sense of making a conscious decision to forgive. So, and sometimes they say that, there's a time when you're ready to forgive, really. And it's probably not immediately that something's happened unless you're very spiritually enlightened and can do that. But there's that sense of, you're thinking about that you might be ready to let go of this situation or this person or this hurt. And making a conscious decision to forgive really is showing the power of your choice in the situation. So I am choosing to forgive whoever or whatever. It's not them making me. It's not that I'm letting them off the hook or I'm saying what happened was okay. It's like I'm choosing to forgive because that's going to give me strength and power. And also you're choosing to do it because you don't want to feel this bitterness. You don't want to feel this negative emotion anymore. It's kind of like you are aware of the effect it's having on you. It's kind of toxic. And then healing and moving forward. So it's important to understand that if you're in a situation where you're being harmed or hurt or someone is taking advantage of you or abusing you, you need to set a boundary as well. So you need to make yourself safe. And that's also part of it. It doesn't mean you keep getting treated badly and you keep going, oh, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, and you let the behaviour perpetuate. Part of it is really taking responsibility for protection as well. So there is this these steps. So I'm just going to take you through a little process. So this is a practice from the Mindful Self-Compassion course. So it is partly about giving yourself love and care and kindness as well. And for this exercise, I'm going to ask you to think of a person who's caused you pain that you might be ready to forgive. Do you have a person or a situation? This is just a practice, okay? So we're going to do a little meditation kind of thing to practice. So see if you can think of a situation or a person that's still bugging you on some level, that's still annoying you. So just take a few deep breaths and close your eyes for a few moments. Just sitting in a state of peace. And you can even put your hand on your heart and just with that intention of giving yourself kindness while we're doing this. May I be kind to myself. This is a gift to myself to let go of something that's hurting me. And now think of a person that's caused you pain who you might be ready to forgive. And think of a specific event in that relationship that was mildly disturbing, not a very traumatic, huge thing, but just something on about 5 out of 10. And choose a person and an action that you're really ready to forgive because you realise that hanging on to the anger and blame is hurting you unnecessarily. So it's now time for you to let go of this. Just take your time. Think of the event. Just make a lot of room for whatever you experience, approaching the practice with curiosity. And don't get too swept away by the drama of the situation. So we're just going to open ourselves up a little, very gently, to the pain we felt. Just getting in touch with the pain that this person caused you. Perhaps even noticing where you feel it in your body. just touching the pain. Don't let it overwhelm you, but just be aware that you have been hurt and those were the feelings you had, and to validate and acknowledge them. And just validate this pain as if you were speaking to a dear friend. Oh, of course you felt hurt. This is hard. It's hard when someone talks to you like this. It's not a nice experience when this happens. And again, just because you were treated in this way or spoken to, giving yourself kindness and love. Just offering a little phrase to yourself. May I be safe. May I be kind to myself. So really looking after yourself in this situation, soothing yourself. And keep breathing. And now ask yourself, am I ready? Am I ready to forgive this person? Am I ready to forgive this person? And if you feel you're not quite ready, just go on giving yourself kindness and compassion and care. If you are truly ready to forgive, see if you can have some understanding of all the forces that made this person act badly. Recognizing that it's only human to make mistakes. Were there any factors in the environment, factors beyond yourself and this person? Was this person under a lot of stress at the time? Or were there things that had shaped their personality, a difficult childhood? Whatever factors were involved, you were still hurt. But it's having a bigger picture. What were all the influences on that person? Now, if it feels right to forgive, and only if it feels right, begin to offer forgiveness to the other person. Perhaps saying the phrase, may I begin to forgive you for what you have done, wittingly or unwittingly, that caused me pain. And just saying this a few times to yourself. May I begin to forgive you. May I begin to forgive you. This is a process. It won't happen just one time, but am I willing to take a step where I can begin to forgive you? May I begin to forgive you for what you have done, wittingly or unwittingly, that caused me pain. And then finally, if you're ready, just making a little promise to yourself I'm going to protect myself. I'm not going to be hurt like this again. Not by this person or anyone else, at least to the best of my ability. So really giving yourself kindness and love. I'm not going to accept this hurt again. And then gradually just taking a few deep breaths and coming back to the present moment. And I think that this point of like, am I ready to begin? And this is a poem I'm going to read you now, because I think there's an understanding that it does take time, and it's the intention that I want to let go of this. And it's called The Prayer Before the Prayer, and it's actually by Desmond Tutu and Mofo Tutu. I want to be willing to forgive, but I dare not ask for the will to forgive, in case you give it to me and I am not yet ready. I am not yet ready for my heart to soften. I am not yet ready to be vulnerable again. I'm not yet ready to see that there is humanity in my tormentor's eyes, or the one who hurt me may also have cried. I'm not yet ready for the journey. I'm not yet interested in the path. I am at the prayer before the prayer of forgiveness. Grant me the will to want to forgive. Grant it to me not yet, but soon. Can I even form the words, forgive me? Dare I even look? Dare I see the hurt that I have caused? Can I glimpse all the shattered pieces of that fragile thing, the soul trying to rise on the broken wings of hope? But only out of the corner of my eye. I am afraid of it. And I'm afraid to see. How can I not be afraid to say, forgive me? Is there a place where we can meet, you and me, that place in the middle, where we straddle the lines where you are right and I am right too, and both of us are wrong and wronged? Can we meet there and look for the place where the path begins, the path that ends when we forgive? A very powerful poem of the power, but also how it takes a lot of courage and strength to forgive. Because we like to hold on to things and think we're right. So, this idea that it requires patience, understanding, and kindness towards yourself. So that whole process of forgiveness, it's a nice little practice to have if you find you're feeling you've been hurt. So it's a journey. So what are the things that might help us on this journey of forgiveness? So there's a few things here. Reflecting on the situation, which I'm sure we all do, don't we? We think about it. When we've been hurt or upset, we can spend a lot of time thinking about it. But reflecting on it. Practicing empathy. So really not just seeing that person as the enemy or the wrong person, but trying to understand what's going on for them. Making that conscious decision, like really knowing this is my power. I have the power to forgive, and I'm consciously going to use it to empower me. Letting go of resentment, realizing that holding on to that anger, that bitterness, that resentment is not going to do me any good. It's not going to help my nervous system or my mental health or my emotional health or my physical health even. Because there's quite a strong link between resentment and quite a lot of different physical illnesses. Shows up in the body. Establishing boundaries, that idea that, okay, I've been hurt, but now I'm going to protect myself in a constructive way. And seeking support, that's also really important. Like if, depending on what the situation is, maybe you need some help. Maybe you need a friend, an ally, professional services, the police. You know, where do you need to get your support from, depending on what the situation is? Practicing self-forgiveness. Sometimes there's that too, isn't there? How did I get myself in this situation in the first place? Focusing on the positive, engaging in acts of kindness, and spiritual and religious practices. So I'm just going to finish in the last 10 minutes looking at this aspect. So it's understanding that forgiveness is a very deep and transformative quality of the soul. It's a soul quality to be able to forgive. It's a habit of a soul who's seeking to deepen spiritual knowledge within themselves or change themselves in some way. It's one of the powers, one of the virtues. Because I think when we're on a spiritual path and we realize that we're originally pure, peaceful, loveful beings, you must have heard that here many times. Have you? Yeah? You are a peaceful soul. If you're a peaceful soul, you can't be carrying hate or revenge or hurt in your heart. You need a way of letting go of it. So this power of forgiveness, this habit. And I think if we really understand that often in a situation, I've somehow contributed to what's happening to me. And I think you must have had classes here on karma, have you? Concept of karma. So it's like what you give out, you get back. And it might not just be from this lifetime, it might be from another lifetime. So it's understanding that what's happening to me, I can also take some responsibility for it. Maybe I treated this person badly in a previous life, or maybe I treated someone else badly even in this life, and I'm getting a taste of my own medicine. Maybe I don't see it at that time, but there's a sense of spiritually, whatever's happening to you is happening for a reason. Maybe it's to teach you something, maybe it's to give you a lesson, maybe it's to enable you to practice a spiritual skill, such as forgiveness or all the spiritual powers that we know of, to discriminate, to learn to respond in a different way to the situation. So there's a lot of deep significance when we have these challenging situations, especially in relationships and with other people, that's inspiring us to respond in a different way, not in our usual way of getting angry or annoyed or blaming the other person, thinking, what's my lesson here? What am I here to learn? And so, in a sense, when someone wrongs us, it's possible, it could be the return of an old karmic account. And when we forgive, we're settling that account. We're saying, okay, I'm going to finish this now. It's not, because you know what happens when someone hurts you, you feel angry and hurt, then you hurt them back, then they get angry and then they hurt you back, and it sort of keeps continuing, the saga continues. And it's like that decision to say, actually, enough, we're going to stop this roller coaster of a relationship now. It doesn't mean that what's going on is right. It's not condoning it, but the true power lies in responding, not reacting. So thinking, what's the strengths that I can use? And when I was preparing this, someone reminded me of this, which you may have heard of, which is this Ho'oponopono prayer. It's from Hawaii. And it's a prayer that people use to kind of cleanse energy and to feel that I'm doing whatever I can to take responsibility for the situation and finish it. And it's saying that the world is a mirror that reflects what's going on inside. And this mantra is the art of acceptance, forgiveness, and cleansing of the energies. So you say, I'm sorry. When you say this, you recognize and accept responsibility for your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions that caused the conflict or the situation to manifest into your reality. And it takes a lot of humility and strength to, when it really feels like you're the victim and what the other person's done is really bad, to be able to say, even to yourself, I'm sorry, or to the universe, I'm sorry, if I've contributed to this in some way. You may not even be aware of how you have. Please forgive me. These words are a request to make amends with your higher self and the universe. I thank you is the opportunity to show gratitude to your higher self and the universe, to clear your negative thoughts, feelings, and actions. And I love you is emitted out to the universe, God, source, or spiritual energy as a form of gratitude. When you use the words in this way, you're saying, I love you for allowing me this earthly experience. So it's somehow a practice or a mantra of taking responsibility energetically for the situation you find yourself in. And people, when I was looking it up, people say I thought this was a bit crazy, but I just practiced it. Like they were driving to meet someone who they'd had a fight with, and they just kept saying it. You know, I'm sorry. What is it? I'm sorry. Practice it. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. And they just kept saying it the whole time when they were driving to meet this person. And they just did it as an experiment. But they said actually when they got there and met the person, the energy had changed. So there is something very powerful when we take ourselves out of the consciousness that we're a victim in a situation and we take some responsibility as well. So we'll have a little meditation to finish, but I think this time for the next 10 minutes is for you to ask any questions. Oh, actually, just to finish, this is my last slide. So just some nice quotes to inspire us to finish. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future. So it enables us to have more possibilities of the future. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Mahatma Gandhi said that. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that prisoner was you. And forgiveness is not an occasional act, it's a constant attitude. So it's a way, it's a capacity, a power that we have that frees us from being stuck in the past, that frees us from carrying around hurts and bitterness and resentment, which is just, in the end, harming ourselves. So I hope that's given you a little food for thought about forgiveness. So do you have any questions? Is that right, Rose? We do that?
You have talked about establishing boundaries. So we forgive and we establish boundaries, but it can also be viewed as we are being a victim and establishing boundaries. So how can we establish boundaries under spirituality?
I think establishing boundaries is very tied up in your self-respect. It's kind of how you see yourself and what is acceptable way of being treated or not. And sometimes when I find when I feel someone's disrespecting me in some way or think it's okay to talk to me in some way, and I say to myself, I'm not a rubbish bin and I'm not a punching bag, because that's me having my own self-respect, really. And so I think it's not that you're going to set a boundary by hitting back at the person or getting aggressive, but you may need to get firm. It depends what the situation is. But internally, you don't accept the behaviour or the disrespect or the pain that the other person's offering you, because you respect yourself and you realise it's not healthy. It's not who you really are. But you can get into defending yourself or fighting back or arguing, all that kind of thing, and that's a kind of non-spiritual way of setting a boundary. It's an internal process where, and you may have to do behavioural things. It may just be that you say, "Oh, I'm just going for a walk," or "I'm just going to the bathroom," or "I'm stepping out of the room for a while," or you just remove yourself from whatever's going on. But I think you're doing it from a place of self-respect. Does that make sense?
Just a question from me.
Yeah.
You know, they say casually, and many times you hear people say, forgive and forget.
Yes.
And it's the forgetting part that sometimes, because if you're not forgetting, then it brings the whole emotion, and then you go back into not forgiving, even though you really, really want to forgive. Maybe some tips on how you can.
Well, I think I said at the beginning when they were defining forgiveness, they say it's actually not forgetting. It's not like you can really forget what someone's done or the situation, but it's the emotional load that goes with it. In a sense, if you recall the situation and it continues to make you feel upset, then it's a different kind of forgetting because it's triggering you again. Whereas I think if you've really forgiven someone and let go of the situation, even though you remember it, it won't cause that same emotional reaction in you. Fortunately, the person who asked the questions disappeared. Yes, yeah, I think that's why this last quote is really important. Martin Luther King, it's a constant attitude. So in a way, you have to keep remembering, actually, it's my power to forgive this person of the situation. And also that whole thing of, am I ready to forgive? It's a journey. It's not just, oh, I'm forgiving you, because it's not that easy, especially if you've been really hurt. Do you want to ask a question?
No, I don't.
Yeah?
And I constantly practice for a few days in a row, and then I felt home and I felt so bad.
Oh,
So-
really? Oh, gosh.
And then I was checking about that, and it says that is because of the technique.
Oh, okay.
And I just wonder, do you think so?
Well,
About
I
the
guess
Ho'oponopono?
it's cleansing some energy. So, sometimes that is like a cleansing thing too. But it's not something I know much about, to be honest. I just came
okay.
across it. Someone was telling me about it. What I liked about it was the idea of spiritually taking responsibility for yourself. It's sort of like a way of acknowledging my part in any interaction. Like it sometimes seems like I'm an innocent victim, but actually none of us are really that innocent most of the time. Somewhere along the line, we have created that situation. And but it's a very deep level of spirituality that can really take that level of responsibility for yourself. And there are situations in the world, and we see it today, where there is kind of innocent people and victims that are, it's not their fault. It's almost like the karma of the whole world and the whole race. So I think you've got to keep that interpretation in balance. So there are many examples in the world today where it's not blaming the victim. It's more a personal practice. So when something happens to you, you have to think of, why is this happening to me? What's the lesson? What is it about me that's attracted this situation? It's that sense of being able to take some personal responsibility. And again, it just takes you out of being a victim, which, is a good thing, because being in victim kind of state of mind is very disempowering. The man at the back wanted to ask something. But you're right. If that's a powerful practice, you have to be careful how you do it. Maybe with guidance. Yes.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. On forgiveness, I have a question. Is it a constant practice? What I felt personally is the days you are feeling good, you tend to forgive, especially the day you are low, you ruminate. So is it a way of building a new thought process? I don't want to carry that stuff with myself, even though it's coming into my head. Is it a constant process? We have to do it every day, even though we don't see the output? Or it's okay, maybe do it for 3 months, it will be fine. How it works exactly?
I think that, like with all these practices, so we did a little exercise, didn't we? I think when when something happens and we get upset, or we have a challenge or a situation or a relationship that's causing us pain and suffering, then it becomes more alive, and we might think, I just don't like feeling like this anymore. What can I do? So we might practice it more intentionally during that time. But I mean, it can be, if you're becoming more self-aware of how you're responding to things, there can be other things that cause you pain and suffering, like missing the train, or there are situations in life where you just may have to use that power. Think of it as a power that you have that helps you not get too caught up in the situation. You just let it go. So the more you practice it, and it's a state of mind, then you're freeing yourself from just sort of ping-ponging and reacting through life as challenges come up. So it's a good thing. Yes, I think that's good. So, shall we end now with a meditation? Oh, yes, if you have something.
Thank you for sharing. One of the things that I struggle with is regarding, you mentioned karma, and I try to take responsibility for things that sometimes it's family karma. I try to take responsibility for my own action through reflecting. I'll go away and think about, well, how did I contribute to this feeling, or whatever it is that's sort of taken place. What was my contribution, and how could I have done it better? And I'll be struggling with that for a long time. And then I try to do the forgiveness, and when I say that I forgive you, I feel lighter and I feel better. But invariable, that something in that situation will
come up, and it just like give you that little dig. And I thought, I've just forgiven you. What is wrong with you? Why do you keep bothering me like this? You know. And then I think, well, if I distance myself away from the situation, then it will go away. But then it doesn't go away. And it will always be sort of like there in the background. And I'm thinking, I've forgiven you, you know, just be, let me be. I just want to just get on, you know, you keep digging, that sort of thing. I mean, how could I probably do it a little bit better? Or should I, you know, just let it be? Or is there a way that I could probably do a little bit better once I've actually said to myself, or I've said it to the person, I forgive you, you know, I truly and truly forgive you, and I do it with love, and I feel it when I say I forgive you.
Well, I guess it's like I was saying, it is a journey, and if it's still bugging you, or you're still in some ways taking, like when you say have a dig, you're still accepting the dig. You're still taking that. It's like they're giving you a gift, and you're still taking it. You have to, maybe it's the boundary setting in your own mind, like you're not accepting that anymore. But I do find some of the self-compassion practices are very helpful. Like if there's someone who, that's just their nature, in a way they're not going to change. They're always going to, unless they decide to, but that's the way they're going to interact with you. And just that point of acknowledging and just saying, actually, it's really hard to be spoken to like this. You know, give myself some love and kindness just because someone's talking to me like this. That's quite a good way of changing it. Like you're forgiving them, but also just give yourself love and kindness because you're being digged at. You know, they're trying to get a rise out of you, and you're responding. So can you do something different? So give yourself love instead. Try that. It's a good technique. Okay, I think because we've just got a couple of minutes left, I'd like to finish with this meditation. So I gently bring my attention inward. I breathe in peace and exhale any tension. I remind myself I am a soul. I am a sparkling point of light seated in the center of the forehead. I am eternal. I am peaceful. I am pure. In this awareness, I connect with my original nature. I am a being of compassion, of love, of light. Now I softly bring into my mind a person or situation I've been holding on to, not to relive the pain, but to release it. I remind myself, this soul and I may have shared karmic accounts in the past, but now I choose to settle them with love. I see them also as a soul, a tiny star of light on their own journey, perhaps acting out of pain or ignorance. I now allow myself to let go of the hurt, of the expectations, of the need to be right. And from my heart, I say silently to that soul, I forgive you. I set you free, and I set myself free. I see a wave of soft, golden light from the divine light, filling my heart with deep peace, washing away the scars of the past. I feel light, healed, free. I return to the awareness that I am a child of the ocean of compassion, a powerful soul filled with love and mercy. Om Shanti.
Your appreciation by clap of hands. Thank you so much, and we so look forward to having you again and again and again. For me, the takeaway perhaps is going to be my new mantra. May I be protected? May I begin to forgive? That was lovely. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your contribution with the question. A bit more clear. And thanks to all of you who are watching live. So the usual announcements. Perhaps I will start with the book. We did mention the book that was co-written by Dr. Sarah, and it is this book, Stillness in the Storm. Also, we have Lifting Your Spirits and the Path of Well-Being. All these books are available in the shop, and the shop will be open. So for the usual announcements, the meditation on Sundays, which you need to register online, and it's from 10 to 10:45. Then Mondays and Thursdays, reflective meditation, either you can join in-house or you can watch and join online. Or Tuesday, same time, same place. The talk for next Tuesday is Power of the Humankind, Unlocking Your Potential. Thank you very much. Yeah. And then this Saturday, the 3rd of May, is a stress-free living course, and it is in the house. The time is 2 to 4 p.m. It's 2-hour slot on a Saturday. Then there's the fast track Raj Yoga evening meditation course. This one is online. You need to register. Then there is Overcoming Anger. It's also in the house, and it's going to be twice a day, Wednesday and Thursday. The 14th, this just, you need to plan ahead. 14th and 15th of May. There is always a quiet room. You can come and relax. And I think Alanda is someone who came for the first time. It was you. You're very, very welcome. You go to reception. I think I've seen you already with a leaflet. It gives you what we do here. I don't know if Sister Daksha had something to say. I see. Okay. Thank you so much for coming again, and thank you for watching. Have a lovely evening. Thank you very much, Sarah, for coming.